What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the JD Remedy. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I have an awesome interview for you guys this week. It is with the beautiful Eilish Hegarty. We talk all things self-talk, positive mindset, and how she's able to do those things for herself and her clients. So stay tuned for that. But first of all, I have a lot of recs actually this week because I've been binge watching so much Netflix, but I'm going to kind of taper them out. I'm going to give you guys a few different ones each week. I do have a recommendation that I'm going to say maybe not to watch. If you're a true crime kind of real story movie kind of lover, I'd say skip this one. That is, of course, Believe Me. The storyline is interesting, like the actual true story of the survivor. So it's a true story of Lisa McVeigh. She was kidnapped and held hostage for 26 hours by a man named Bobby Joe Long, and she was raped repeatedly during those 26 hours. It turns out that the guy that kidnapped her and held her hostage was actually a serial killer that the police force was trying to catch or identify for at least 6 months. He had done it to multiple other women, but the difference for her and what her story was, she used reverse psychology to let her go so she could escape. The storyline itself is very interesting and obviously awful to listen to and watch. The only thing I wouldn't recommend for you true crime lovers is the acting is terrible. Like, you know those movies where you watch and you know they're acting and it's a little bit over the top and it just feels weird. It was one of those, and if it wasn't a true story, I would have turned it off, but I wanted to give my due credit to the survivor and her story. I was actually interested in the storyline. I just was forcing myself to watch it. It was a young actress, I think, and there were parts where I was like, oh, that's great. But other parts, and not just her, it was other actors in the movie as well. It's like, this is a bit much. Like, it's cringeworthy, you know? So maybe if I can suggest if there's an actual documentary for this story for Lisa McVeigh, probably watch that. But if you're interested in the storyline, it is on Netflix. It's called Believe Me. My actual recommendation that I loved, and I think you guys will too if you watch the kind of stuff that I do, which I know you do because I get lots of comments about it. It's on Netflix as well, and it's called I Am All Girls. It is a true story of a policewoman that discovers and is trying to persecute these criminals who are responsible for a child trafficking ring. And it's set in South Africa, and it's awful. Like, if you watch any movies or any true stories about child trafficking, this one's pretty hard to watch. There is another movie that I also watched, which I've seen multiple times now. I'm going to save that recommendation for next week. That one is a little more graphic and a little bit full on in terms of like detail. But this one, the storyline is very upsetting. It has a lot of footage of young, like very young girls who they're trafficked internationally. Like, you see them get on planes, they're kept in sea containers. Like, it's just horrific, some of the stuff that these young girls go through. And I love a good heroic story of like a dedicated police officer or detective like tracking them down, trying to save their life. So I Am All Girls on Netflix. So I'll recommend the other movie for next week and also a series that I watched. I'm banging out like 2 episodes for you guys. No, sorry, not 2 episodes, 2 recommendations each time. But yeah, I hope you enjoy those. If you enjoy them, let me know. Message me on Instagram. If you have any more recommendations that you think I would love, please tell me. Any excuse to sit on my couch and watch Netflix. But yeah, a little update. I know I haven't posted since my big breakup announcement. I got a lot of positive feedback from that episode. A lot of people resonated with one of the stages in some way, shape or form, and just said that the way I explained it was very helpful. And it was good to connect with girls that are at some sort of stage that I explained, and, you know, whether they could tell me that things will get better or I could tell them that things would get better was such a really beautiful way to connect with you guys. So please, if you need anything, don't be scared to reach out. We do have our Facebook community, which I'll plug at the end of this episode as well. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, this is still a little growth piece for me, just to see how I show up in these situations and how I use my voice. And, you know, I'm really trying to tune in with my gut instinct at the moment and just really taking my time for things, which I don't normally do. I'm someone that's always put people before myself. So it's been really nice to just get in check with what does Jade want and what is best for me. So I'm taking it slow. It's hard for me. I'm not a take things slow kind of gal, but so far so good. So I will keep you guys updated. But yeah, let me know how you guys are going. So without further ado, here is the interview with the beautiful Eilish. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I am joined by the beautiful Eilish from Coaching by Eilish Hegarty. How are you?
Good. Very happy to be on. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Eilish and I have known each other. We met in Brisbane at Self Mastery, a few months ago. So, you know, she's on the personal development train with me. She's on the coaching train. And I noticed you all weekend. You were a little spark plug full of energy, and I really appreciated just your presence and everything. I've been following you on Instagram, and I just love the value that you put out there and how you help people. So I thought, you know, I might as well give back to my audience. So yeah, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. So I'm based in Brisbane and I am a mindset development coach. So what that means essentially is I help millennials, anyone between like early 20s to 30s, work on their limiting beliefs, rewire their brain to conquer their limiting beliefs, figure out what it is they want, figure out their purpose, what it is that motivates them. I work with people who have anxiety, confidence issues, body confidence. We work around money mindset as well. So a whole bunch of different facets and different branches of self-development, essentially to help you take control back over your thoughts and your emotions to start creating and living the life that it is you want. So yeah.
Stop it. That's amazing. That's beautiful. And I think a lot of our viewership kind of encompasses all those goals, especially the young girls. I really try to have guests on this podcast that, you know, have the same values and the same gifts that they want to give back to that kind of community and that niche. So I really appreciate you being here. I am interested in hearing about your personal journey and how you kind of came to the conclusion that this is what you wanted to do for work and how you enjoyed that niche.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting story. I definitely never expected to be working as a coach and specifically in this niche. So I actually come from a dance background. I used to be a dancer and I always had my heart set on dancing full time, doing commercial, like film clips, dancing overseas, cruise ships, all that kind of stuff. So
wow, how fun.
Not a lot of people know about that actually. So I never even thought I'd go to uni, let alone end up here. I started losing passion for dance and trying to figure out what it is that I was passionate about. And my dad was actually in the SAS, in the Special Forces of the Army. So he comes from a military background and I'd always been really interested in the stuff that he did. He was a sniper and a diver and like real life black ops. So he's super interesting and it kind of made me want to get involved with policing. I was really interested in criminology. So I was like, okay, like, you know, I want to learn a little bit more about the force before I go and apply for the police. I started studying a criminology degree and was convinced to pick up a double in criminology and psychology for an extra year. So I didn't plan on doing psychology either. And when I started my degree after having a couple of gap years after school, I fell in love with psychology and excelled at that so much more than the crim side, and kind of slowly got converted. Like I was really, I guess, always interested in, part of the reason why I wanted to be a cop was I was so fascinated with human behavior and why we think the way we do, why we behave the way we do. And I'm a very curious person. Like I need to know the answer to everything.
You both, girlfriend.
Yeah, sometimes curiosity does kill the cat a little bit, but Yeah, so I was really interested in human behavior, and then I started kind of diving into neurology and psychology around the subconscious. I started doing extra courses like NLP, and then kind of fell into a few coaching courses while I was still in my degree, because that wasn't being taught at uni, and that was where I was starting to get really, really interested. Like, now how do I have the control factor over the thinking and the acting and whatnot? So yeah, after that, my first coaching role was actually in network marketing as a health coach. I'm really passionate about health and wellness and was on my own little fitness journey. So that aligned really well. I love helping people, ticked all the boxes. And then from that, I niched into wellness coaching for a big health and wellness center / gym in Brisbane. And now I've niched into mindset development, and here we are.
That is amazing. I feel like you've ticked every single box you need to have every single tool you need to serve your community and serve your niche. That's fascinating. How long has that taken you to get to this point?
Well, I'm 23 and I am actually still studying in my degree. And I started the coaching role probably like, I think the start of 2020. So it's been a very quick sprint towards the end here. But I think before that network marketing coaching role, I was an academic tutor at Griffith, and then I was a dance teacher. So I've always one-on-one development and kind of had a lot of transferable skills in that department. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge journey. And I didn't realize you were so young. Like, that's incredible that you are so passionate about what you want to do at such a young age, and having all of these tools in your belt by 23. That's crazy. Good for you, girlfriend. That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, you're definitely in the right place, I think, and heading in the right direction. That's really powerful. So tell me a little bit, because as I was looking on your Instagram and some of your kind of business ventures, I noticed that you're very big on self-talk and the power of positive self-talk. So why do you think that's so important, and why do you teach it to your clients?
Yeah, good question. Hugely important. So I guess some of my personal philosophy is that you can see the world in two ways: things either happening to you or things happening for you. And with that kind of comes two states of being, either being in a state of bliss or being in a state of suffering. And ultimately you have the choice what you want to believe. So self-talk is the first thing within your conscious control that you can choose. And once you start to understand how how self-talk works, you notice that it feeds into the way that you feel, and it feeds into then whether you do or don't act on things. It's also going to feed into the results that you're then getting or not getting, the action you're taking or not taking in your life, and back to essentially where it's coming from, which is your underlying beliefs about yourself, the world, and everything around you, and your perception, your beliefs that have formed over all of the experiences of your life. So very powerful stuff. And I guess that kind of cycle, I call it the subconscious cycle of change, is something I teach my clients in probably week 1, because it's so important. It's one of the key pillars for all things self-development and really taking control of your life.
That's incredible. I think that's super important as well. And I think a lot of the work that I do, obviously with self-worth and confidence and self-love, challenges, I don't like to use the word issues, challenges that some of my clients may have as well. I think that self-talk is such a huge part of it. And obviously for you, the awareness of their self-talk would be the first point of contact. What kind of advice would you give your clients on how to manage or change or control their self-talk?
Yes. So the first thing, if you are starting to make a change, is becoming conscious, becoming self-aware, and really tuning into what it is that you're thinking and what it is that you're saying to yourself, whether that be out loud or in your mind. So kind of starting to view the way that you speak to yourself from an observer's perspective. You always hear that kind of that saying, be the observer of your own thoughts, blah, blah, blah. But it's true, having that self and tuning in on a deeper level to just kind of, from a neutral perspective, watch and not be judgmental or critical, but watch what it is that you're saying. You know, what is the tone that you're using? Are you being supportive to yourself on a daily basis, or are you being destructive? Are you being condescending? Are you being harsher than you need to be? Are you talking to yourself like you would a best friend? All of those things, and just kind of taking a step back to watch and become aware. And then once you have that deeper level of consciousness, then you can start to just pull yourself up or reframe. We do a lot of reframing with clients. So, okay, like if I've just walked past a mirror and gone, oh, I feel and I look disgusting, just being like, okay, no, I choose to believe differently. I'm in control and I can make the conscious choice. Even though that's my autopilot and my default right now, I know I don't want it to be. So I'm going to choose to say something that is the opposite, the new belief that I want to hold about myself. I guess allowing, I don't know if you've heard of this saying, windows and doors.
No, do tell.
I'm very big on energy and starting to become quite spiritual as well, in touch with the universe and whatnot. So as we know, like our energy is always traveling all of the time. And if you bring energy to a statement like that, oh, I feel like crap and I look like crap, full stop. Like, you need to give it a way to escape so that you can create space for the new beliefs. So creating windows and doors within that sentence. Oh, I feel like crap and I look like crap, but I'm going to consciously choose to tell myself that I look beautiful today, and I'm going to try and be kinder to myself. So it's like creating windows.
Cool. Letting the breeze out, the breeze of negative energy out.
Absolutely. So it keeps flowing and it doesn't just stop there and, make you actually feel like crap.
That is so powerful. That's cool. Do you think it's the same as manifestation, or are they two different things in your opinion?
Ooh, I think it's all very much interconnected.
Yeah.
Manifestation for me is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's book podcast 2 for that one, because I'm actually new as in my interest has been peaking about energy and positive talk and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be interested to pick your brain about that as well. But fascinating everything you said. And I keep hearing the quote of, you wouldn't talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself. So it's very interesting you brought up the self-talk, and they're fully in control of how they feel about themselves and how they view themselves. Do you think, or do you agree that self-talk in a way is a skill? We weren't really born, well, we were born feeling great about ourselves, and whatever changed that, it is possible for them to retrain their mindset to feel positive about themselves. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, 100% agree. It is a skill because it's something that we're not used to doing. Evolutionarily, our brains just default to negative as humans, which is unfortunate, but it's true. Like, as we've evolved, we all know about fight or flight response within our body. We were so used to, back in caveman days, going out, living such a simplistic life. You wake up and go out, get food, come back, tell a story around the fire and go to bed, repeat. But whenever we were faced with a challenge then, and our body did switch to fight or flight, it would be like a life or death situation. We'd feel the flight response because of a tiger or a lion or something that was actually of threat to us. And I think our insides are still very much wired the same. So in a society like today, when you have that physiological trigger response, we're still trained the same way, but we're just in such a different environment. And no one's told us how to adapt. No one's taught us that things are different now. We have to start doing the rewiring ourselves in order to adapt and to be and feel the way that we want to feel. So it's very much a skill, because it's something we didn't know until recently that we have to actively do.
That's huge. And it's fascinating because we are the human body, right? Like, this is how we're wired. This is how the human brain works, as you probably know from all your studies. Imagine if we were taught this stuff in school. Like, I don't know about you, but I've never used Pythagoras or any of that crap that I learned in school. But imagine the kind of people that would be available to us in the community, or the kind of businesses we would have, or I don't know, just how the human generations would develop as a whole if we learned about mindset and, you know, how to control our own brains and our thoughts. Like, imagine the specimens we would be. How crazy.
So different, but I feel like we're moving in that direction, which is so exciting. Like, I was saying to my partner the other day, once we've done all of the fun business ventures we're doing at the moment, we want to create a college of life, like a school of life, for all of the things that you don't actually get taught in school. I don't know how we'd get it certified, because people don't want you to learn.
Do it anyway. You don't need it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking do it anyway. Who cares?
It's so necessary.
That's beautiful. I think kids is like a huge target at the moment, and I think they're doing really well with mental health. I saw on an ad the other day, they now do yoga and meditation in primary school. I was like, what? Like, I've never imagine if we would do that. Yeah, like to settle their thoughts and how to get back on track and just calm the mind. Imagine how important that would be to learn as a kid, like as a small child.
Yeah. Amazing. Side note, I also found out today that in primary school, kids are being taught coding.
I saw Mark Zuckerberg's ad on Facebook for it, and it was like his kid was playing on a laptop, and it had some like what was the program called? Coney or something like that, and she was learning coding.
So insane, because it's like another language now. It's like more than actual verbal language. It's like the language.
No, I've missed that boat completely. I feel like I'm losing years here. Like, all these kids have amazing opportunities. It's okay. We're in control. Eilish, reframe.
Reframe.
Yeah, see, you have amazing opportunities, Jade. See, that was a good lesson. Thank you. Beautiful. Now, I want to know more about the subconscious work you do with your clients. So I think you call it the subconscious results cycle. Is that right?
Yeah, so kind of what I touched on briefly before, but to unpack it a little more, as a foundational aspect to coaching, it's really important to understand how you can create legitimate change in your life, like from your own self. So knowing that, I guess, if you think of it as a cycle or a wheel, you have your subconscious thoughts and beliefs right at the top. So because of all of the experiences that we've uniquely been through in our lives, the things we've been taught as kids, the interactions we've had, the experiences that have reinforced what we've learned in our first 6 years of life, which when you're in your first 6 years of life and you're spending a lot of time in theta state with your brain, which is it's almost like a deeper state of consciousness. So you're not completely alert, and you're not like in a, state of like low arousal, but you're almost like a sponge. You know, when kids say, like, I want to be a princess or an astronaut or whatever, like they don't have limiting beliefs yet. They don't have anyone tearing them down or trying to be realistic with them yet. And they're such a beautiful sponge of knowledge, spending so much time in theta state. But I guess the only downside to that is they're trying to soak up as much knowledge as possible so they can go out in the world and survive, right? Back to the whole evolution thing. But everything is it's like a direct pathway into your subconscious mind when you're in theta state. So everything that's being taught to them and said to them is being so much more impactful than anyone realizes. Parents, adults, whatever. You don't know what you don't know, right? But they're using these bits of information to, I guess, conjure up what they believe is right or wrong, what they believe about themselves, how they believe the world works, and whatnot. So understanding that, like, what your beliefs are and where they've come from, and how they feed into your conscious thoughts. So your day-to-day thoughts that you're thinking, you hear yourself saying in your head, recognizing that, when you do say something that's not so nice, or something external happens. Say you get a text message and it kind of makes you feel a bit off or a bit sour. You notice triggering, exactly. Yeah. When you get triggered, you notice that it changes your state. You notice it changes that feeling in your body. Maybe you feel sick. Maybe you start to get agitated and short with people. You start to get a little bit, I don't know, flat. Realizing that that is then going to affect whether you say do or don't go to the gym, right? If something's happened, you felt triggered, you now feel flat and shitty, you're probably not going to do the things that are good for you. You're probably going to watch Netflix and introvert and not go to the gym, whatever it might be, which is then going to influence your results, right? Whether you are or aren't hitting your goals. And that's going to feed straight back into your self-worth, your subconscious beliefs about yourself and everything else.
That is crazy. I'm always so curious about the subconscious mind and the mind in itself, I suppose. But the way I always try and teach it to people that have never learned about NLP or psychology or anything is there's like our surface level problems, and there's always a deeper core root issue at cause here. Like people that self-sabotage or they procrastinate, like you said, or they put walls up in relationships or whatever it is, that's not the actual problem. Those self-sabotaging behaviors are always a reflection of those limiting beliefs that are actually deep within us. And I think that's why personal development is so important to me, because if it's done anything, it's just brought so much awareness to stuff that's gone on for me or stuff that I can change. And you can't change yourself or change your life if you're not aware of what the problems are. So good job. This is why we're here. 100%. I love that. Now, what you guys will notice, we will plug Eilish's Instagram later for you, but what you'll notice that she talks about quite a lot is obviously mindset and, you know, getting herself through those struggling times. But I actually want to talk to you, Eilish, about something that happened recently for you. We originally had a different date to film this podcast together, and something came up for her, and I just want her to share her personal experience as much detail as she's comfortable with. But it just goes to show not only does she teach this kind of stuff, she lives it in her everyday life. So tell us about the situation. Oh, I suppose. Yeah, tell us about what happened at work, and I'd love to hear your mindset patterns through it and some of the stuff you did behavioral wise. That's a tough sentence to say. Share as much as you like. What went on?
So other than just coaching, I do want this to become full-time for me very, very soon. But you know, we got to pay the bills. We got to work other jobs sometimes. And I was coaching for a health and wellness center, as well as doing a bit of a casual reception stint within this company. And we found out with quite little notice that a lot of our hours were going to be getting cut with approximately 1 week's notice, and that they'd hired externally. So we had a team of about 10 casuals, and they'd hired, I was there probably like around 25 hours a week, and found out very abruptly that it was going to get cut back to about 9. So that was a bit of a shocker. It kind of rattled all of us, and because we are so close, like, you know, with most workplaces you have group chats, you'll kind of talk outside of work about what's going on and what's coming up for you and whatnot. It was really easy, as much as I wanted to see it as, you know, everything happens for a reason, and that's probably the biggest motto that I live by. It was really easy to get dragged into the negativity and feeling what everyone else was feeling. I'm quite a big empath, and thinking really negative, dark thoughts, and basically like this managerial decision feeling like a personal reflection of your own work. I'd applied to stay on as a part-timer, but didn't get the job for a whole bunch of reasons. And yeah, it was really hard because it was so abrupt. We just weren't prepared for it. And we planned to record this podcast the day after I actually found out. But I just have to say to Jade, like, I need to take a day to completely clear my freaking schedule, because I need to just do some things for myself and kind of recover and not feel like I have any obligations today or commitments to show up or be anyone or do anything. and just have no plans and do whatever it is I need to recharge myself and kind of rest and recover. So I did meditation, probably a couple. I think I went and did a yoga class. I sat outside in my favorite park, New Farm Park, near the water. I think I went to the dog park. Some endorphins there, I love that.
Absolutely.
And really took time for myself, and I spoke about it a lot. I think I journaled a little bit as well, but for me, talk therapy is so powerful. My poor partner, like I would have talked him to death.
That's what they're there for. That's what
they're there for.
Yeah.
I just needed a whole day or two to kind of process that. On top of that, my coaching contract within the company was terminated the following week. So like probably a few days after, with no notice as well, for a whole bunch of different like structural reasons and development reasons and whatever. And then I found out that my housemate was moving out with 1 day's notice and taking all the white goods. I was like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
There's loads of washing to do.
Jesus.
Why you do this to me?
Didn't they say bad luck comes in threes or something like that?
You literally just took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
So I was like, okay, you friggin', it's got to wrap up soon, surely. And yes, that was a really tough week. And like I said, it was really easy to get dragged into thinking differently to I normally would, and feeling differently and getting really angry and resentful. And I did not want to spend a lot of time in that space. Like, in an ideal world, we just kind of want to process, like, you know, come to terms and move on. But it makes it really hard when you're like the one odd one out in a group of 10, and all that energy is kind of feeding each other. So yeah, that's what went down for me. Lots of reframing, and at the end of the day, like, something that is bigger, I believe, than all of this and all of us is, when I am feeling lost and needing a bit of guidance, I do turn to the universe. I'm one of those gals, and I do think everything happens for a reason. You know, getting out of that job, I actually ended up quitting that job on my own accord, because I just be really real with myself and realize it wasn't serving me anymore. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to do so many things. Eventually, I want to grow and develop my own company, and I know exactly what my core values are, what my mission statement is. And even though it was sad and I loved the brand and the company, it wasn't serving me anymore, and having to really take a leap and grow some balls and let that chapter close.
Wow, that's huge. I can see the passion as well about it. And for someone like myself that believes everything happens for a reason, I think it's almost the universe giving you that opportunity to push you toward what is meant to be happening for you, right? And if that never happened, I'm assuming you still would have quit eventually, but for how much longer would you have stayed there, you know?
Yeah, I would have stayed there way longer than I needed to, sure. And it was like, I got like 3, maybe 4 opportunities handed to me on a silver platter, or just like slaps in the face, being like, Eilish, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. And I didn't listen to any of them. I didn't listen to my gut, even though I was stressed, and even though I was, you know, anxious for no reason about things that were just so tiny, that were just draining and sucking your energy. Like, guys, you're in a job that you're unhappy with, freaking leave. You know, I don't know if you've heard the quote, Gary V. I think it's Gary V. But the best piece of self-development advice he thinks he can ever give is, quote unquote, you are going to die.
Oh shit, I was like waiting for some like inspirational line, and that's what you hit me with. It's so true. Life is short is how I would have put it. But yeah, I love that.
It's really real and blunt and abrupt and in your face, but it's true. And if you're spending your time and energy doing something that isn't absolutely lighting your soul on fire, you know, you have the full control and capacity to change it today, tomorrow, in an hour if you wanted to. Like, it's in your hands. So yeah, coming from someone that's taken the leap, it is so empowering and rewarding to have that control in your life and just do what makes you happy.
So powerful. I can resonate with that so much. Staying in a job far too long than I should have. All I did was complain about it. But unfortunately, it took a burnout and a mental breakdown for me to have the courage or the you need to leave or you'll die kind of mentality to leave. And, you know, everything amazing and positive happened after I left. So don't miss those signs, guys. They are everywhere. Whether you're in tune with them or not, or you believe in energy and the universe telling you stuff, there are always signs around you. And I think just going back to what you were saying about that process you went through when all of those signs were coming at you and you had to be told that your hours were being cut, I think at the end of the day, we're human, right? We're going to feel negative emotions and we're going to feel positive emotions, but it's how you allow those emotions to serve you. And I think for us, because we have done so much work and we have the skills and tools, we, I suppose, are in a better position to get ourselves through those kind of things because we have done personal development courses. We've sought our own coaches and we are coaches. Whereas someone that hasn't sought that kind of help may have sat in those emotions for a little bit longer. And I don't believe there's positive or negative emotions. They're just emotions, and it's what we do with them and how we allow them to serve us or kind of hold us back is super important. So absolutely. I think you did an amazing job for you. I appreciate that you told everyone that you took that day just to yourself, and I'm assuming that was really important to you to do those soul replenishing activities for the day. How do you think it would have went if you hadn't have taken that day for yourself? Like, what difference do you think having that day to yourself made?
Oh, all the difference. I think if I'd forced myself to go about my day as normal and just kind of suppressed the way that I was feeling and tried to put on my tough facade and carry on, I wouldn't have been able to show up for myself the way that I want to, or the people around me. And I think I would have probably taken those emotions out in a number of other ways. They would have manifested and needed to escape regardless. And I'd rather take the day to process and kind of be alone and nourish and care for myself like a best friend than to have anyone else be affected by the repercussions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that you call yourself your best friend. Yeah, that's so cute. Let it breeze out of the doors and windows and not like cyclone through your house. Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
Something that really helped as well, and this has helped me, it was like a less than 10-minute meditation. If you guys have heard of the app Bloom, guided meditation and sleep app by Chloe Zepanowski and another business partner. So sorry, I forgot her name. There's a guided meditation on taking things personally. And long story short, it describes that like everyone has gone through their own experiences of life, and everyone is going to see you, the color of a cup, like the color of the freaking sky, slightly differently than anyone else. So their perception of you isn't actually you. You only know your truest version of yourself. And even though they have a perception of you based on the limited experiences you guys have had together and what they've seen on your Instagram and XYZ, what they've heard about you, all the things, when they speak to you, they're speaking to their perception of you. They're not speaking to you at your core. So it kind of allows you to create a bit of distance between what people are saying to you and how you react, which has been really important and powerful for me in having lots of tough conversations with management and deciding to make the decision I made. So remember that when people are speaking to you,
I'm trying to like process what you just said, because that shit is deep. Like, that is amazing. I will get you to like put that in a quote and send it to me like wrapped with a bow, because that is I'm trying to like replay every hard conversation I've had. I'm like, wasn't me, it was them. It was their reflection of me. I love that. That is really powerful. That needs to be your tagline for something. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just like, touched my soul. Oh, beautiful. Is there anything you would like to share with the audience listening or watching, wherever you guys are tuning in? Any kind of words of wisdom or anything that would help them along their personal journey in terms of self-worth? I think that's been a really big hitter today. Anything you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably can't top the major golden nugget we just had, but yeah.
I'm a lover of tools, and I know people love practical, tangible strategies and things that they can implement right now. So if you are wanting new routines to start improving your mindset, There's a couple, there's like 5. Really quickly, I would say learning is first and foremost. So learning from podcasts, learning from audiobooks, learning from courses, and not just soaking up the information, but taking the time to look at it from a third person perspective and be like, wow, how does this relate to my life? Like, you listen to a podcast and you have those aha moments and you're like, oh, that's me. Just that in itself, and learning that way creates so much self-awareness. Doing guided journaling prompts, if you don't already, is like something that has hugely helped me on my own self-development journey. Even if you Google or Pinterest, something that you want to write about, whether it's anxiety or stress, guided journaling prompts are a huge way to help you learn more about yourself. And
what is a guided journaling prompt? Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm like,
yes.
What is that?
So a question, for example, how do you speak to yourself on a daily basis? Is a set of journaling prompts I'll give my clients when we want to work on self-talk. So how do you speak to yourself on a daily basis? Writing that question down on a piece of paper and then answering it. Taking time to think and reflect and be like, how do I speak to myself on a daily basis? Are you, like I said, supportive, disruptive, whatever it is? Another question might be, what are 3 statements you said to yourself today? So, I feel like I didn't do that well enough. I'm definitely running late. What does this person think of me? And creating awareness through that.
That's huge.
Picking a topic that you want to learn about. And I bet your bottom dollar there'll be a bunch of journaling prompts on the internet, but it's a good process for you to start implementing if you don't already. Talking through hard situations with someone who's open-minded and has a growth mindset. So not someone like a family member who's going to try and solve your problems for you and come up with solutions that aren't appropriate. And like, you want someone who's in the position that you want to be in and you want to learn from them. And I guess figuring out whether different elements of your life align with your values. So like figuring out what your values are. And if they don't align and you feel conflicted and you feel that push-pull right now with something going on in your life, whether it's your friend group, specific people, your job, start to make little changes so that you do feel aligned and you'll feel a whole lot happier.
Wow. I wrote some notes there. That's super valuable. So thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love all of that. That's true. And I think a little quote with the talk therapy and the open-mindedness, is that a word? Open-mindedness? Yep. That you mentioned is only take advice from people that you would trade places with. That's how I kind of get my clients, my friends and family to conserve their energy. Not waste your time, but choose wisely who you take your advice from and where you're led and where you take guidance. So that has been amazing. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom, babe. Now, I'm sure the listeners are just obsessed with you as I am. So tell them a little bit about where they can find you on social media. Go ahead and plug yourself.
Yes. So my Instagram handle is at Eilish Hegarty, EILISH It'll be in the show notes for you guys. Instagram's my predominant platform. Definitely keep an eye out. I'm going to be doing a free mindset development webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. So if that's something that interests you and, this has really piqued your interest, you want to learn more, stay tuned for some more information about that. And we also have some courses in the making as well, which is super exciting, some group coaching courses. So another little facet for you guys to learn more about yourself and the world and how you can start to control those thoughts and emotions and create your own dream life.
That's amazing, babe. I'll definitely leave her Instagram handle and stuff in the description, and you'll be promoting your mindset stuff through your Instagram page. Yeah. So they'll just keep an eye out on that. Yeah. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend it. Well, thank you so much. Oh, of course. I'll probably be on there as well. So you can say hi if you feel like we need a friendly face on there. Not that, they know me or anything, but I'll hang out with you guys. But thank you so much for joining me today, babe. I really appreciate all the value you've given. Make sure you guys go and follow Eilish. And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure she's open to a small amount of DM, conserve her energy, but I'm sure she's willing to help at any point in time. But thank you so much, babe. I will speak to you soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Jade.
Bye, babe.
And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that amazing interview with Eilish. I definitely took notes throughout that session. She is a bundle of wisdom. If you'd like to find me on any social media platforms to reach out, it is more than welcomed. I am an open book and always here to help you guys. You can find me on social media platforms such as YouTube and Instagram as Jade Delpup, JaYdeDelpup. You'll also find links to the Facebook group specifically for this podcast. So if you'd like to catch up on episodes, if you'd like any questions answered for the episodes, or you just want to connect with other girls that are listeners and go nuts in that Facebook group, you're more than welcome to. And again, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week.